Week 5 of the junior college football season, and it's a top 10 showdown on the western plains of Kansas. Iowa Western, number 2 in the polls. Garden City, number 7. We've got the highlights coming up next. This is the Iowa Western Football Coaches Show. It's the Stroh Show, and it's right here on the Reaver Sports Network and Iowa Western Television. From the IWTV studios on the campus of Iowa Western in Council Bluffs, this is the Coach Stroh Show. I'm Jake Ryan, joined by Reaver's head football coach, Scott Strohmeier. The coach, we talked about this season being front-loaded with a whole bunch of road games. This weekend, it's the longest road trip of the season, 8 hours there, 8 hours back in a bus. You guys are no strangers to long road trips. Georgia, Arkansas, Colorado, Texas, Michigan back in the day.
Mississippi.
Yeah, you can't forget Mississippi. That was a fun one as well. So you look at these long road trips, and although it's a little bit grueling, what do you get accomplished when you're on the road for that duration?
Well, I mean, sometimes early in the season it's nice because guys they're with each other for that long on a bus. But honestly, guys sleep a lot, on the bus, so there's not much there. But just getting them away from any distractions and we stop somewhere, practice, and then make the rest of the trip to the hotel and give them a little bit of time that evening. But it's really just getting to be together with the guys with no other distractions, or just in a hotel by ourselves. And
now, back in the day, they used to load the VCR with your favorite movies. There's a DVD player on there. Do you guys even load anything with the guys having their own Wi-Fi and Netflix and everything on their phones?
Honestly, we did. They played a couple movies, and I don't even know which ones they played. But a lot of times it's just to get some noise so guys can fall asleep,
Sure.
or they do have their headphones in and they're watching something on their phone.
Well, let's take a look at our highlights from this weekend's game. Number 2, Iowa Western. Number 7, Garden City. The Reavers in their white-blue combo. And, again, getting excited for the game. Seemed loose to start the game, Coach.
They were, and I thought we had good energy. And last night or the night before in pregame, I thought they were ready to go.
TJ Starks getting the start, throw across the middle, and they think that they had an interception there, and, well, they did, or turnover on downs at least. Garden City to work, and Coach, please don't ever do this to us broadcasters. Never go light jerseys with light numbers. That was almost impossible to read from up top where we were.
I'll tell you what, it was impossible to watch film of them and try to get personnel.
It is the Nick Singleton show early on, although he's upended. Good defenses on both sides of the ball, and then Starks going to work on the sideline, just a little bit too much air under that pass.
Yeah, and we, I think it's kind of just getting into the flow of it and seeing where they're at, but we didn't get off maybe to the best start the first 2 possessions.
Nebraska verbal commit Diedrich Mills is one of the running backs that was averaging 150 yards apiece coming in. Charles West the other one. But the Reavers doing a nice job. You see him get a chunk of yardage there, but I thought the defensive line stacked up pretty well against what you knew was coming at them.
They did, and they run it so many times that they're gonna get some yards, and you can't give them the big one.
There's a big miss on the field goal. Ben Raybon goes off the left post, and the Reavers survive the 1st and goal. And now a big hit here. I thought probably targeting by Garden City's back, but no call. They just call the unsportsmanlike conduct, and you get 15, but you lose TJ Starks.
Yeah, it probably was close there, but it was, good. Clay comes in and it has a big completion. Obviously, we fumble it here. It's probably the story of it right there, is you can't fumble the ball inside the 5.
Seems like they were a very attacking, aggressive defense, trying to claw at the ball each time. And I know that your defense does the same thing, but it seemed like they were very aggressive, Garden City was, in making that happen.
They were, and with the pressure that they're bringing backers, and sometimes you don't always see them right in front of you.
Punt to Michael Zachary, great moves. He can stop and start on a dime, can't he?
He can. Yeah. That's why he's so good in the return game and in our short pass, quick game that we throw to him. He makes generally the first guy miss.
Nick Singleton, nice completion down the sideline, then another pass to Zachary. There's the first guy missing, and down the sideline he goes very close to the end zone and just out of bounds by the skin of his teeth on that far sideline.
Yeah, I wish he was, he put himself in a good position, and we end up getting our first touchdown there on a run, and probably the play that we wanted to run down at the other end and chose not to, but that's the way it goes.
That's Nifis West that gets the touchdown, his first score as a Reaver, and then the extra point wide, so you're leading 6-0 at this time.
We've gotten through them, but those things come back and haunt you from time to time, and we got to be more consistent there. You can't leave points on the field.
High snap to their quarterback. He's a Memphis transfer. Guess who was there? Number 51, Willie O'Hara, who seemed to be there a large amount of the day. And right there again, you see Sargba trying to hang on to the ball. They're just clawing and clawing at it. No wonder they gave up 376 to Mekhi Sargent last year. He wasn't going down when they're just clawing at the ball. You actually had to tackle him.
For sure. They did a good job of going after the football.
Called for a intentional grounding here. They had a play earlier in the game that probably was intentional grounding that they didn't call, but the Reavers tagged for that one, and you have to kick it away back into the possession of the canary yellow uniforms, and nearly an INT there by, I believe, Corey Hernandez that gambled on it. Just missed it. His teammates make the tackle, and then, well, again, it's the train of Mills and West down the sidelines.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they get it going, and they're so big up front. I was surprised they were throwing it a lot more this possession, and then we get that.
I thought Chester Graves was going to turn on the Jets, but he gets pushed out of bounds around the 50-yard line. That's a scary sight for a wide receiver to have to make that tackle, isn't it?
For sure, a guy that big moving that fast.
Good to see Milton back. Strong run there, a little extra effort, got an extra yard, and then down the sideline, here comes the flag, as Marcel Barbie was the target for the Reavers.
This is a huge possession. Unfortunately, this is what happened on it, but we got to get points there.
And unfortunately, it goes the other way. A 94-yard INT return. That's the 11th interception that the Reavers have thrown that resulted in a touchdown for the other team in school history. And that's, well, the only points that they got. You guys get it back late, trying to make something happen as Singleton makes the catch across the middle, surges forward.
Yeah, and we're not going to stop. We're going to try. We get away with one here. It was almost like in 2016 where we had back-to-back possessions of interceptions for touchdowns. But disappointing. We had the lead at 6-0. We missed an extra point. We are going in to go up 13-0 and hopefully 13-0, and then we give them points. But I thought our kids at halftime still were pretty upbeat.
Yeah, a little bit of a deflating end to the scoreboard, at least in the first half, but still 30 minutes of football to play. Second half highlights are coming up right after these. We're on the Reaver Sports Network and Iowa Western TV.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
Son, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
We are back in the IWTV studios. I'm Jake Ryan, along with the head coach of the Iowa Western Reaver football team, Scott Strohmeier. So, Coach, first half was great defensively. The offense seeming to, I know Garden City presents athletes on both sides of the ball, but it seems like the offense for the Reavers is still kind of struggling to find its identity. Mm-hmm. The run game, not quite there. The pass game is inconsistent. How frustrating is it for you as a coach and for your staff to see the opportunities that are coming up for these kids and for it just not to click yet?
Well, and that's the toughest thing, and I think that's our job, is trying to find how do we get it to click, and sometimes in the first three games when you come out ahead on those games, sometimes some of those mistakes aren't they're noticeable, but Now once you get through this one, it's, we got to figure some of those things out. And really it's trying to find out what we do best. And some games it's going to be throwing it, some games it's going to have to be running it, but we got to find something and get good at it.
All right, Reavers leave an opportunity a couple times inside the 10. Let's take a look at those second half highlights as Iowa Western trails Garden City at the break, 7-6. Reavers come out of the tunnel at halftime, and I thought this was kind of a statement drive right here. You guys go and force a 3-and-out to Garden City to get them going in the second half.
Well, it's huge, and I thought we've done a really good job this year. We've taken the ball every time, and defensively he's done a really good job that opening drive of the second quarter or third quarter.
So here's that third down, and again, just nowhere to go. Good job by Jamari McDonald keeping the receiver contained until his teammates can get there, and that forces the punt. And again, the 3-and-out, and then you guys go to work. And how about this run by Gayflor Flomo? It seems like when he's come off the bench the last couple of the weeks, he's ripping off those double-digit runs off the first touch of the ball, and he does it a couple times here. There's TJ Starks right at the middle as well.
We got good field position, and then we break off 2 nice runs and kind of a nice design there in the red zone. And that's, when you get down there, we have to get it. We're feeling really good right now with that drive.
So that makes the score 13-7, and the Reavers up by 6. And then, well, it's a defensive show from there on out as Garden City gets it going through the air a couple times. Nice pass and complete across the middle onto the logo for them. And did they surprise you with how much they decided to throw the ball, or did you know it was probably coming?
I knew at some point if we could slow down their run, they were going to try to take a few throws. But and that one was just you run it. We got our eyes in the backfield.
Now, last year you guys had a great season as far as running and passing the ball as another stop. Is that something that freed you guys up, was the fact that the run game was so dominant early, and then you just opened it up for Kai and Kurt to just chuck it all over the yard?
For sure. That's part of it.
There's the field goal attempt. The field goal is good. That cuts it to 3, and it's still in the third quarter. So you're sitting at 13-10, and the Reavers probably may have not have been down there on that run by Flomo, but he pops up, spins off a move. He's got that A button down, doesn't he, as far as the video game controls go?
He does. He's been spinning a lot.
TJ into the end zone. Barbie probably just got a little bit out of position, double teamed. You see number 17 being double teamed more as the season goes on?
Yeah, you will. In that look where we get him to jump off sides. Again, we're so close. If we have a little bit better ball, we catch the touchdown, we're in that, and we miss a field goal, we can't leave points out there.
So 13-10 still, and Garden City back with the football. Still the third quarter, lots of football to play. And then, well, their quarterback decides to get creative, and you guys take him out on the far side. Great job there by Corey Hernandez.
Yeah, and I thought they were going to do that a little bit more, and we did a good job. That's in stopping it the first few times, and they didn't do it as much anymore.
They decided to throw it to the tight end a couple times as the third quarter continued, and then the fourth quarter comes along. I know 15 minutes of football seems like forever when you've only got a 3-point lead, and Garden City went to work. They tried to get it going. Charles West stuffed there as Michael Scott puts him down.
Well, they shortened the game so much. I think we had 2 or 3, maybe 3 possessions in that third quarter, and that's why you can't make mistakes.
Throw out into the flat, and Gayflor is undercut there, and then it's back to him. So on average, would you say, how many possessions a game do you get? I asked somebody last week, they said maybe 15.
Yeah,
how many did you get in this one?
We were under, I think, either 9 or 10.
Which seems ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, you just shorten the game. That's why these high-tempo offenses, when you're getting 100 in some plays a game, or 90 to 100 plays, you're getting a lot of possessions.
There's the Reavers with the fumble recovery. Nice job by Iowa Western. There was a play earlier in the game, I believe in the first half, where one of their receivers looked like he caught it. It was jar loose, and Willie O'Hara would have scooped and scored, but they called it incomplete. You finally capitalized with the fumble recovery on that play.
We did, and this is where you got to take advantage. And it's some of the smallest things there, but we have a receiver that should be running vertical, and instead he doesn't, and the linebacker's now in position. Otherwise, we probably break that one for a first down.
Time of possession factoring into this one. The Reavers had it for only 20 minutes against Iowa Central in that 26-20 win. Here in this game, it was just about the same, and you see it's a lot of Garden City offense. It's a lot of Garden City up the middle, a lot of Garden City to the sweep, and so really that kind of weighed on your defense. I saw several of your guys cramping as this game went on.
Yeah, they're out there a lot. Some spots we have depth, some we don't. They got to play a lot of snaps.
Field goal game ties it at 13, and then Daniel Isom, I know that he was feeling terrible after the game. Looks like he went to turn, put the ball on the turf to balance himself, and then Garden City very opportunistic. They dive on the football, force the fumble, get it back, and then kick a 42-yard field goal to go up on the final margin 16-13. I know we talked about it already at length. That's got to be one of the worst ways to end a football game, all in the last 40 seconds.
Without a doubt, even to where we have a chance to get a first down and maybe even put it away, and we have a mistake, but our defense is playing well. We give them good field position. They go down and kick one, and then you got a kickoff, and we're sitting there. I'm like figuring out, okay, we got 50 seconds. How do we get ourselves in position? And as I'm talking to that, I see my return guy dance a little bit, which is always scary, and the ball on the ground. The one official said that he was down. It was 100% down. But when they brought it in to discuss, I thought he fumbled it too when I seen it, and and then we put him in a position, and then they kick it, and it's a spiral
line drive, yeah,
and
knuckleball.
it's a spiral, and I'm like, oh my, it wasn't meant to be that day.
Yeah. Well, we looked at it. I looked at a couple numbers. That is the lowest amount of points that the Reavers have given up in a loss in school history. It was the third lowest offensive output in offense history, which is amazing considering the type of numbers. I mean, you look at what you did, just over 200 yards, but then you look up the list and it's 700 or 800. I mean, there were some amazing games, but it just wasn't meant to be. And you talked about it. Garden City had the ball for quite some time with that running offense, and that limited your opportunities.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if more teams take that approach, to keep us, because, if you told me that we were going to hold them to that, 13 points, we're going to win the ball game.
Yeah.
We had 3 other times where I felt we should have got touchdowns, and we didn't. And you settle for 1 on a field goal and you miss it. So we left really 21, at worst case 17 points, 18 points on the field.
You ever think about running maybe the Wildcat from the 2 with like Perry on Winfrey or one of those guys?
We've talked about it.
All right, well, the game does not end the way the Reavers do, but despite the outcome, the Reavers absolutely never quit on Saturday. It was a great football game, and it was the dark side that kept it close. Defense, they were the star of the show on Saturday, and coming up next, we'll talk with a guy that, seems to have a nose for the football. Willie O'Hara will join us next on the Coach Stroh Show on Iowa Western Television and the Reavers Sports Network.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
When they test you, stand firm and move only when you hear the seatbelt click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
From the studios of Iowa Western Television, this is the Coach Stroh Show. I'm Brent Pentecost. He hasn't made every tackle this season. It only seems that way. A nation's best 61 tackles through 4 games. Saturday was no different for sophomore linebacker Willie O'Hara. Thanks for joining me, Willie.
Thank you for having me.
Rough game, maybe a heartbreaker to end, but let's talk about going up against the nation's #1 rushing offense. Those 2 running backs, what was that like?
Well, it all started in practice. We had to prepare, like every little detail had to be right. We changed a lot of stuff to prepare for them. Everyone just had to do their job this week, and I feel like we did that. There was a couple mistakes, and, we all could obviously played better, but, I think we shut them down pretty well on defense. We didn't allow them to score any touchdowns, just all field goals. So, I mean, I was impressed with the way we played, but, you know, we could always play better.
So let's talk about your progression. Last year here played a lot of special teams. Coming in this year, now you're starting linebacker, leading the nation in tackles. What's it been like to have that progression and come up from, you know, special teams player to starting linebacker?
Well, always since high school, I've always had like a chip on my shoulder, kind of, because people always like doubted me and stuff. So when I came here, I wanted to prove people wrong, and I think I'm doing that right now. And I just want to be great for the team and everything.
So what do you think are some of the things that have helped you get better being here at Iowa Western with your coaches and kind of just like the culture here?
Well, definitely the coaching. The coaching is amazing. I've gotten so much better just from my freshman year to my sophomore year. And Coach Stroh, I mean, he keeps us in check. He makes sure we're all doing the right things. So, yeah. I mean, in the off-season program's amazing. I guarantee you can't find this anywhere else in any other junior college.
So we've talked about this a little bit before, but you guys have a lot of Dowling Catholic players on the team here at Iowa Western. What's it like going from that big-time school, kind of like the powerhouse in high school Iowa football, to now going to sort of the powerhouse of junior college in Iowa?
It's not a huge transition, you know. It's a winning culture, and that's what they both have. And we have winning coaches. We have players' coaches at each school, and that's what I like about this place. Coach Stroh and Coach Wilson of Dowling Catholic are pretty similar coaches, and I like their styles, and I like to play for them, and yeah.
So let's get back into the game from this past weekend. The running back tandem of Dedrick Mills and Charles West. What was it like going up against two really good running backs like that?
It was tough. You know, I met them in the hole a couple times, and it was not as easy as usual to bring them down, I'll tell you that. But they were fast, they were explosive, and, you know, we boxed them in pretty well, but, you know, the couple big runs they had, I mean, well, we're only for like 15 yards, so.
Yeah.
But they were impressive, and, I mean, I'm proud of the way we played, but, you know, we always, like I said, we could always play better.
Just one quick last thing here. The one thing we've noticed is your motor, always going to the ball. It seems like you're around every single play. What drives you to be at the play every single time?
It's that chip on my shoulder, man. It's just like I gotta want to make every play, you know, no matter how far away it is. 20 yards away, 5 yards away, 1 yard away, you know. It's that mindset you have to have.
Always keep going.
Yes.
Thank you again for joining us, Willie. We look forward to seeing you play more this year.
Thank you.
We'll wrap up this edition of The Stroh Show when we come back. For Willie O'Hara, I'm Brent Pentecost. And you know what really grinds my gears? The new Philadelphia Flyers mascot. But back to the topic at hand. More Stroh Show right after this on Iowa Western Television and the Reaver Sports Network.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
What if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. a whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Got a quarter?
Back in the IWTV studios to wrap up this week's edition of the Coach Stroh Show. A stumble in Game 4 happened last season as well. The focus after that, though, was razor sharp, and you guys closed out the season very strong. In fact, almost sniffed the national title game, probably should have sniffed the national title game, and then skunked Northwest Mississippi in the bowl game. 6 more games left this season, and the competition doesn't get any easier, obviously, but you know the polls coming out today, you figure to be at least near the top 5, and a lot has to play out over the next 6 weeks of college football at the junior college level. How has the initial response of the guys been, at least early in the week?
Well, I mean, I think pretty good. You know, obviously the heartbreak after the game, and, you know, we try to stress those little things, and because we went through it kind of last year, and we got a long season to go, but, you know, everybody puts so much stock in that, you know, you can't lose a game in football, and if you do, you're out, and I think that's so far from true. You know, 5 of the top 10 teams lost last week, and so I think after Sunday when I kind of addressed them there that, you know, hey, my focus right now is we just got to improve on some of the things that, you know, we've been stressing and harping for 3 weeks, but you come out victorious. And sometimes it takes something like this for them to realize that we got to start doing some of these little things in order to help us be successful.
So you look at the schedule upcoming, you get Ellsworth after this week, you go down the way, but this week the focus has to be on Dodge City. You can't let a disappointing loss on the road in Garden City turn into 2 losses back-to-back. And you know Dodge City, despite their record, they're a pretty good football team.
They do, you know, and they played Butler into double overtime last week, and, you know, we watched some of that game on the way. But, I mean, the biggest thing is that you have to put this you can't let the Garden City beat you twice, really, you know, and that's really where we got to focus on is, you know, I tried to tell them, you know, Sunday, remember the taste and the feeling that you had on Saturday after the game, the frustration, some guys very upset. Well, what do we got to do to not ever let that happen again?
Yeah, well, the good news is that every other week now you get a little home cooking, and this week it'll be Dodge City into town on Spirit Day. We've got some great entertainment lined up for the free tailgate, which will take place before the game, as Andre Vandervelde and his band Jaguar James will be performing before the Reavers take on the Conquistadors of Dodge City. Kickoff coming at Lewis Central's Titan Stadium at 1 o'clock. We, of course, will have the Barleys countdown to kickoff at 12:30. It will start on 89.7 The River, and then, of course, the game will be live on Reaver Vision right before kickoff. You can find that link at GoReavers.com. So for everybody involved today, including the hardworking, kind of smart alecky media students producing this week's show, and also sophomore linebacker Willie O'Hara, hockey superfan Brent Pentecost, and head coach Scott Strohmeier, I'm Jake Ryan. Thanks again for tuning in, and remember, wear your blue, be loud, and make sure people know that you root for the Reavers.